Welcome back, guys, to another episode, Iron Capital Talks. As you know, where we aim to interview C-level executives, founders, real builders from the blockchain industry, crypto investments. After great feedback, and we receive a lot of messages from you guys, highly appreciate this feedback. We are back with Eran Elhanani. Thank you very much, Eran, for coming for the part two. Looks like you did something great and you put some nice insights out there. People appreciate that, and here we go again, part two.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And it's nice to know that people actually liked what I had to say.
Absolutely. Particularly, we had an entire episode for crypto gaming, which now looks like is going to be like a main horse for the next bull, and we would like to touch that again. But how it's been for you lately?
It's been picking up, being very busy. I mean, we were building even during the bear market, so we didn't stop like a lot of other projects. We actually kept most of our staff and we kept building. We built more tools for the community, more products, more revenue streams in order to be ready for the bull market. And we're almost there.
What is your sentiment about it? Like, are we already during the bull market, or is still waiting for a drop that everybody is talking about?
Well, I think we're in the warm-up phase. So obviously you can see that prices went up, whether it's the Bitcoin or all the altcoins. I mean, Ethereum went really high recently. So it's a preparation for the bull market, but obviously we're not there yet. Everyone's still waiting for the approvals of the ETFs and then the halving. So I think that probably Q1, Q2 of 2024, that's when their bull will start and really pick up Q3, Q4. At least that's what I'm thinking. But Bitcoin is known to surprise everyone and do whatever it wants.
Yes, indeed. So you see something like a warm-up stage pre or halving, and that will be another accelerator event for the bull run, like together with ETF approval.
Yes, I think we're probably expecting the ETF approvals in January or February. So that will be really the push, because once officially the big institutions are coming in, then there's nothing to hold it back. Then we're really going to start pumping.
So you don't take in consideration a negative response?
Obviously, if you look at the macros and the industry, there's a lot of negative sentiments, whether it's the wars, whether it's the default rates, which you can see that in some cases are higher than ever, whether it's on loans, on cars. But I still think that Bitcoin is becoming like an alternative asset that is picking up, and is a diversification will be for the institutional. So there'll still be flowing a lot of money inside. So that will still give it a push.
Yeah, of course. Definitely, like once it's approved, the impact will be gigantic. All those billions of dollars sitting in pension funds and stuff.
Trillions.
That
yes.
will be, I'm not sure will be like, I mean, from my perspective, within a very short period, they will deploy a lot. But for sure, within the next 5 years, will be like a big impact from these guys.
Yes, of course. I mean, the regulatory system is still not there. So, I mean, if you just look at the US with the SEC, I mean, it's still a problem. So obviously the big funds still sitting on the sidelines or will deploy very cautiously until the regulatory system will be in place. But even small amounts for those big funds is still a lot of money that can really drive the numbers and the Bitcoin up.
What do you think about the consensus? Because when we talk about regulations, obviously each country has its own approach, right? At the country level. But then it has to be a consensus, maybe a regional consensus, or maybe like a Europe level, or from the United States. what do you think will take to have this like global consensus where you can literally play with Bitcoin globally under this same terms and conditions?
Well, it's obviously going to take a little more time, but I think that eventually they have to do it. I mean, the G20 is they're gonna agree on certain terms for Bitcoin, for the alternative assets. It might take another year or two, whatever, but they'll have to standardize the regulatory system. So it will come. And most people in crypto, they're talking about decentralization and everything, but actually regulations, not a bad thing.
Do you think they should start with stablecoin or straight away with Bitcoin?
I mean, the stable coin, after what happened with Terra and all those, is a little bit more urgent in their priority, I think, than Bitcoin. So I think that will be coming first, and then Bitcoin and the rest.
I mean, at this level of institutional level, right? When they play with very big amounts, rather than transferring, those payments maybe to Switzerland for 2-3 days, and then all this back and transferred into US dollars or stuff like that. You can just send USDT or USDC within 2 minutes with zero nothing fees, and that's it.
Yes, I mean, I actually went to an event. It was yesterday. XRP, Swell. And over there, they're focused obviously on payments. And I was just hearing someone on the panel speaking about how incorporating the XRP system into their payments, how it made the whole operation more efficient, and they were able to grow and add countries and stuff like that in their operation. So yes, obviously it's going to come. It's going to get into more and more payments and banks, everything.
In terms of projects, do you have any focus, like from the entire market, to bring on BullPerks, or you want to be like a diversify strategy,
So
like approach?
yeah, so BullPerks is known to be a generalist and try to pick the best projects from whatever chain. That being said, I do see some trends coming up in the market for the next bull run. Obviously, as we touched earlier, one of them is the gaming space. I think that we're finally getting ready to the good gaming projects launching, and I think those will do very well. I mean, the whole gaming market has been warming up, as you can tell. So yes, there's going to be in the next, I think Q1 of 2024, I see quite a few games, good gun games launching and really doing well. And then RWA, real world assets. I think that's also a hot topic. I mean, I see people talking about social fi or gamble fi. I'm not as sold on those aspects. I think that the problem is there is already big players in the space, and you need a lot of money to get to be dominant there. So I'm not sure that these companies will be able to penetrate that market. But it's an interesting sector that we'll keep an eye on for sure. Obviously, AI is hot, and hopefully, just like the gaming. First we had the scammy AI projects, no offense. Now hopefully we'll get the next wave of the real AI projects with the real PhDs and professors that actually building a product for years now. So yeah, looks very exciting.
As we aim for mass adoption, and we expect actually to have maybe the biggest bull run in the entire history, what's your approach about interoperability? Like, because once those guys, like millions and maybe hundreds of millions of people will be onboarded, right, in the entire industry from all the gates, right? definitely to be able to play, interchain operations, transactions, and all those kind of things. The company who does that successfully, they will have like a very nice user database. They will be very clearly successful company, right?
Yes, I definitely see that as one of the next things happening, because you can't limit yourself at this point to one chain. You might launch a token on one chain, but you'll have to do bridges, or you go to layer 0 and be able to interact with others' chains. So I also see on the TradeFi, people are always going to look for the cheapest route. Because right now, if you look at Uniswap, for example, I was actually doing some transaction there. The fees are crazy. You're selling $1,000 worth of something and you end up paying $20. It's a lot of money.
Still high, yes.
Yes. So, and that's $1,000. So, but you're going to pay very similar fees when you do a transaction of $200. So then it becomes really substantial. So people looking for cheapest routes. So I do think that a lot of these upcoming DEXs, for example, or swaps, they are going to look for cheaper routes, and they're going to use interoperability to find the chain where it's going to be the cheapest and better for the user.
You touched the Uniswap, obviously, as a decentralized exchange. And what do you think will be the safest part for this guy who haven't touched crypto yet to come on this industry through centralized exchanges like Binance, where everything, the funds and the amount are not yours anymore, but everything is more well organized, and you have let's say this part of safety a little bit more, or just like using decentralized exchanges where everything is open and actually is more based on you and your skills to understand what's going on there.
So I don't see the centralized exchange disappearing. Everyone is saying that it's going to become more decentralized. Some aspects, yes, but I do think that the centralized exchanges, since they have so much money, they can always develop more tools, more sophisticated, better UI experience, better, analytical tools, copy trading and stuff like that. So they have a lot of value that they can bring to the table in addition.
If we look now into
disappear.
Binance, even at the website level, they're not only exchange anymore. Like if you go there, you find the academy, you find a lot of trading tools. You have like a crazy amount of products that you can use out of the exchange product.
Exactly. So as a new person, you're going to go to Uniswap? Not really. Unless you're familiar with tokens. Just for example, on Uniswap, you'll need to insert the contract address of the token. If you don't know it, you don't understand the space, it's not very convenient to use for a new user. So you can go to Binance, you can check videos about everything, academy, learn, do copy trading, do practice trading. So I don't think that the centralized exchanges are going to disappear.
And when you go to decentralized exchanges, they have this process behind where you are getting asked, are you sure this is the token? Because anyone can name,
yes.
The same way the token that you're looking for. And you are like, I don't know. I have no idea. How should I know this?
Exactly. And I actually heard about...
So you need to press yes or not, and what do you do?
Take the risk. Yes, I actually heard of some group recently, like last week, that they heard about some token that's going to be trending. So they tried to buy it, and they bought the wrong one.
Exactly, yeah. This is exactly what's happening in the back end. You just create, absolutely duplicate the token, and people they don't pay attention. Yes, and that's it. Voila. Now crypto is a scam, and everybody is bad, right? Because you just press yes.
Money, yeah. So yes, I think that the centralized exchange are going to be, your first option for someone that's new. Then maybe the more experienced or some of the people that are, don't want to go for KYC, they'll go for the DeFi option. But I don't think the centralized exchange will disappear. I mean, also institutional money, I don't see them able to do decentralized. They'll have to go through, regulated entities. So they have to go through exchanges. So, and that's where the real money is. So I don't see, centralized exchange disappearing.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe so. I think the market needs both. In which percentage, we don't know exactly, but definitely it's not good or bad. It's just a matter of different system. And we need both, actually. In the market needs both. I want to touch this part with launching a successful project, right? Because obviously you are one of the experts in the industry of launching a successful project, and you've seen a lot with BullPerks. And I want to give you a scenario where it's almost an average product, right? But they have absolutely outstanding connections, KOLs in place, like top 5 YouTubers or something. The marketing team, they managed to do a great job and they build a good community and they have a nice user database. And because they are well connected, they already sign top 3 exchanges, right?
Yes.
But this is a very average product, like almost non-utility, right? It's just a matter of execution. What are the chances that you give to this token?
So here's the thing. We get sometimes these situations where you look at the product or the team, and I wouldn't call it a scam, but you know that it's nothing special. That being said, they have good marketing and hype and some connections, so they managed to get to top exchanges. They managed to create a big community, to create the hype. And then you're looking at it, and you know that all the other launchpads are going to jump on them. And you're like, should I take it? Should I pass? On one hand, I think it's very mediocre. On the other hand, I know everyone else is going to jump on it, and your community is hyped, so your community is going to try and push you to do it. And you feel a little bit like you're selling your principles, because in reality, you want to help the space. So you want to launch projects that are good and sustainable and long-term. But sometimes you're forced to compromise and take those projects and launch them. Now, I do believe that sometimes these mediocre projects, if they launch well and they make money and they build treasuries, they can build a momentum. And then they can actually turn into a good project. But in many cases, they won't. The hype will die and the project will start going down until it dies. I mean, we've seen it in, I don't want to mention specific cases, but we've seen it recently in a few projects. We're very hyped, did maybe the 10 plus X on the first launch, and within 24 hours, they're already at 3X, and within 48 hours, they're already below the ideal price, and then going further to 50% of ideal price or lower. So we're trying not to launch those. But then again, sometimes you have to compromise, because if you're not going to launch it, the other's going to launch it, and your community is going to come and complain why we're not launching it. But yes, sometimes it's painful to me to launch those.
In the same time, we need to understand that from all those scenarios that you mentioned, I think the most relevant key element here is the intention. It's not really the strategy that you use. It's about what you literally want with that project. Because if your intention is good, as a founder, as a team, as everything behind, right? Okay, you can have this mastermind of skills to create this hype. It's not easy. Everyone is talking like, okay, try to create hype to see. Like, it's really hard. It's very challenging.
Yes.
And then you have this hype. It's a matter of what you do with this hype. You want to use it to fill your bags, or you want to use it as a vehicle to, as you mentioned, to create momentum and actually help the project further, right?
Yes.
So it's backed by the intention behind.
And this is one of the things that I noticed recently, which I really didn't like, is that it felt like a lot of projects are coming from young guys that just finished their college, decided that they don't want to go and work for someone for a salary. So let me just launch a crypto project. Why not? And they know how to create hype. And the project doesn't have a future because they'll cash out and they'll get bored and they'll move around to another project the second that this one is it's not going to do well. And that's not good for the space.
Particularly if they are new to money and
Yes.
like suddenly 7 figures, is coming into your account within 6 months or 1 year, and then you are like 22 years old. And of course, that's is not something that it's easy. We need to assume that we are aware about this, that it's not easy to handle this kind of success in a very short time. It's very easy to, get out of the track immediately, right?
Correct.
So, yeah, I think the idea is also they need to try somehow, right? Like you can't blame him that they want to build. They
That's
don't want
the
to
que- the
go 9
question-
to 5.
The question is why they want to build. If they're building just to create a company and make money, just not to work for someone, or are they building because they're really passionate about it and believe in it? Again, not to mention specific projects, but a founder come to you and you're telling me that I worked on this 2 to 3 years, and you look at what he's achieved in the 2 or 3 years, and you're like, give me 2 to 3 months max. I can do it and probably do better. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
to be honest with
but
you.
think about 1 second about this scenario. Like this guy, right? 20 years around, right? Plus minus. He's going to the school, right? He's going to the school. He's getting touch. What he's learning there, like almost nothing. Like we know that the education right now in the schools, universities is literally nonsense with what you actually need in life to succeed. Even at the business level,
Yes.
they don't teach you business ABC business. They teach you like crap stuffs, like literally 99 noise.
I agree.
So they go there and see this reality, and then they are part of this industry as well, and they see that you can literally have this chance to build something, to create. Of course, they will do mistakes because they are not, it's a beginner stage. But again, my approach depends on intention. If they come with this intention of building something, even if you do mistakes, it's perfectly fine.
Yes, but again, first of all, I agree about the education system. I think that most degrees are not worth the paper they're printed on or the costs. And to be honest, even the top universities, it's not about what you learn there, because you don't learn that much. In real life, the real life is where you really learn. What you get there is usually the connections, the ability to learn and sit and be in a constant position of learning and supposedly developing. That's what really these educations are, not real life educations. But again, about the intentions, you need good intentions, but you need experience. Those young founders have to surround themselves with more experienced people. You can't be, for example, greedy and not willing to give something to a more experienced person to bring him to the table, because that can change the whole company, the whole route and trajectory of the company. I mean, a guy that he has experience and have connections and done things before, in one phone call, he can open a door for you or build a certain partnership or a revenue stream for you that you can work for years and not get there.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
So they have to surround themselves with more experienced people, whether you do it as advisor, but actually listen to them, because most founders don't even listen to their advisors. And then you don't really want to be an advisor because you're going to get blamed for other people's mistake and not listening. So if it's a good project, for example, right now, I'm open to advise projects. But again, I'll be very picky this round, and only serious project and serious founders that are willing to be coached and trained, mentored, and listen, actually.
Yeah,
Not
absolutely.
like last round that people just put advisors on the cap table just to say, oh, I have an advisor, and then do whatever they want.
Also for them, for the young generation, the upcoming one, it's a matter of they've seen some success. Because, okay, now we are during bear market, but back to 2021, I had some calls with 16 years old guy, 15 years old guy. They were doing 5 figures monthly at 15 years old. Like their parents, they work for $3,000 the entire month. Even they don't know about him, they were doing this kind of things, because he told me that I'm afraid to tell my parents that I'm doing $50,000 per month because they will think that I'm selling drugs or so. So they've seen this kind of things. They are part of the industry. Maybe they need exactly this, what you mentioned, someone to guide them in a proper way, to put them to the next level, but on the right way, like to remove this enthusiasm a little bit and show them that the reality is a little bit more tough than just a short period of bull run.
The problem is, once you start making these amounts of money, you think you're invincible.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
then it's very hard to train someone like that or coach him or anything. I mean, like you said, if you look at the YouTubers, there's 5-year-olds that make more money in 1 year, 10, 20 million, than their parents made in their entire life. Or most people will make in their entire life.
And now we are talking about this scenario of creators in this industry. But let's mention the feminine version of making money on OnlyFans or stuff like that. They do millions per year, and then you go and say, okay, go to university, pay $20,000, learn shit, and go 9 to 5 for the next 15 years.
Yeah, the only fan, I still don't get it, to be honest with you. I still don't understand who's willing to buy subscriptions when you can just Google
as you can
for free.
As you can see, millions.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm sure.
It's a matter of vehicle you choose, right? Like it's not the one who is playing the game, is the game, right? The market is like this, the society is like this, and those are channels that are monetized because the people are there. If there's no one there, they will leave, obviously.
I agree. As long as people are willing to pay, that's fine. But, if we take this and shift it into our industry, the biggest problem that I see is that a lot of these influencers, they don't know what they're talking about. They know how to create YouTubes and videos and get the likes and build a following, but then they either teach people the wrong things or just shill to them tokens and stuff like that. That's where the problem is. I have no problem with, so I follow actually some YouTubers. They teach you how to build businesses. They teach you investments. Those are great. And they bring value. But most influencers in crypto have no value. And not only that they don't have any positive value, they actually bring a lot of negative value. And this is the biggest problem. They make a lot of money and yet don't bring anything positive to the space. This is something I'm hoping that in the next bull run, things will improve.
During the bull run, I don't think so. I think it will be totally
Probably
opposite.
not. Probably not.
Totally opposite game.
Unfortunately. And that's sometimes a little bit frustrating, to be honest. You see a guy, a young kid that was a nobody before, and while it's inspiring that from nobody he became somebody within a year or two and making a lot of money and luxury cars and yachts and planes and whatever. But on the other hand, you as a founder that busted your ass and actually built something real and traction and profits, revenues. You build, a brand, top ranked in the top, and yet you're probably making a lot less money than what they do for just sitting on the yacht and streaming. So it's unfortunate that people prefer to follow pictures of yachts and and luxury cars and stuff like that instead of actually following thought leaders, and they turn those influencers of luxury stuff and show off and make them into the thought leaders of the space. And then you end up with panels. You go to an event and all these people on the panels or on these shows, like there is now Shark Tank or something, and you end up seeing influencers instead of the actual builders, the actual founders, the actual thought leaders of the space. And yes, they might attract more crowd because they're well known and everything, but they're not really contributing as much as those actual CEOs and founders and.
But don't you think they in a very similar position they face the same challenges as you mentioned earlier with BullPerks? Because imagine you're running a YouTube channel, right? You talk about crypto investments, and then you're approached by certain projects,
Yes.
which you see that after your due diligence, your evaluation, you don't find real value over there. You find some, red flag stuffs. But they give you like 5 figures to talk about the project. And let's say you refuse once, you reject twice, you go there, but at one point, it's very hard for you to partnership and to find those very solid ones. Maybe you'll do only 1 or 2 partnership per year.
I actually think that
And then you are in a position to literally neglect maybe $500,000 yearly.
Listen, some people will just take anything and make money. Yes, they'll get paid. They'll make a lot of money. But the reputation is going to be destroyed. And yes, they might have followers officially, like if you look at, they have followers, but it doesn't mean that they will convert. And this is something that we look at as a platform, as a launchpad. When we analyze which KOLs to work with, you don't just look at who has the most following. You try to look who converts best. And the ones that converse best are the ones that don't shill every token, that are more picky and only do a few and not everything. So yes, it could hurt you in the short term, but in the long term, if you actually only promoted projects that were successful and good, you build a reputation as the go-to person, and your following will grow, and it will convert much better, which actually will bring you more money. Because if I have to choose between someone that have 100,000 followers, but has like a cult following, because his calls are usually great, so he has, let's say, a 20-30% conversion compared to someone that has 1 million, but most of them are either bots or following that, followed him from the past or stuff like that, but he's saturated. He shielded a lot of projects, and his conversion is maybe 2%, then obviously I'd rather go with the influencers with the 100,000 that probably going to cost me less, but will convert better. So it's much better for us and for the space.
In regards to go-to meaning, like, what's the go-to 3 projects right now in gaming that you literally bet for the next bull?
So obviously, I want to be
Like
objective.
the most excited about.
I mean, I want to be objective,
Yeah.
but you can't not mention Godzilla off the grid. I mean, that's supposed to be the biggest or one of the 3 biggest projects coming. There is another one, Life Beyond, that I'm not as familiar. I've seen a little bit and heard a bit and talked with them. Looks good and supported by Animoca. So it looks good. We have also, we have 2 other projects that we're working with. One is Cuerpo, and that looks to be a very interesting project. And we also have the Citizens Conflict, which looks, it's the same, the studio that is developing the game. So you can call it either one. And there is another project that I'm looking at called Farcana. Maybe you're familiar. They're actually based here in Dubai. That looks very promising. So keeping my eye on that one as well.
In regards of Godzilla, because obviously the entire market is waiting for them, what do you think they did something so great that they achieved this level of hype and
First of all, it's a big studio. They have hundreds of people working, and it's not something that was done in like a few months. They've been working on it for a couple years already. So, a couple years, hundreds of people working on it. They raised a lot of money so they can afford it. They brought top-level talent, including movie producers for their scenes and
so
stuff like that.
The product level is super high.
This really can compete with the top productions from Web 2. They actually treating it as a Web 2 game with blockchain elements. So they're competing with Web 2 games in their level. So that's what makes it unique. It's not just another game that was developed in a few months or 1 year or in studio with 10 employees. No, this is like tens of millions of dollars, if not more. Top talent, big studios, top studios. Yes.
Those elements in place, obviously, it puts the project
there's no guarantees for success, but this is as close as you get.
I mean, we've seen in the last days the GT6 announcements, right? Is the most expensive game ever, forever. Like crazy amount of money behind. Those kind of things are happening in the industry, crypto gaming. As we believe, both of us, as we discussed last time, we have this passion for gaming. So now we found us matching things as investors as well in the gaming industry. But if you will mention the other one, like another narrative, another market, if you want, for the next bull.
Yes.
We talk about interoperability and gaming.
I would actually talk, the next subject would be probably the next trend that I see is the real world asset, the tokenization. Now, you can already see a lot of funds tokenizing, a lot of real estate is tokenizing. The problem with the market as is that still there's a lot of the regulation process, the licensing, there is a lot of issues with that still. And then you don't have big exchanges and you don't have trading and liquidity. Now, once that is going to be solved, this is going to be a huge space. So I'm very excited and looking forward to it. Now, if you remember in the 2018 boom, people were talking about STOs, security tokens. That didn't pick up. That didn't succeed. Most of the companies that launched with that angle ended up either dying or really not doing well. This time around, because we're closer with regulations, I think this time there might be a chance that it actually will catch. And if it will catch, there's trillions of dollars sitting out there, whether it's bonds, real estate assets, funds that can be tokenized.
Only
that
real
can
estate
bring
is
a lot of money into the
gigantic
space.
with this.
Yes. So, I mean, the bond, people are actually now, tokenizing bonds. So, and once you can also give dividends from anything, whether it's from your token or from your company performance, you can start paying dividends to people on the token, which is what creates it into a security. There's a lot more real world companies and good projects that can come up. So I think this is going to be a very interesting space to see if it will succeed in this bull run or if we're still not ready for it.
I want to ask you, how do you stay up to date with everything what's going on? Like to keep up with this insane amount of knowledge, if you want, insights, market updates, regulations. It's a very large volume of information. How do you absorb that all the time, and how do you manage to filter actually the noise to real info?
Well, first of all, I work 12 to 16 hours a day, including most weekends. So when you live in it, breathe it, you absorb it. But yes, I also talk and meet with people from different sectors constantly, and I learn from them. I mean, no one knows all, and people might be experts in something specific, but not in other spaces. So I try to learn from others that are experts in their fields and just absorb as much as I can. So might not be an expert about everything, or maybe even not in specific domain, but I know enough on everything.
At your level, are you still going into masterminds and those private groups where you talk big stuff at a higher scale, or it's a matter of basics and foundation? You go attend events, you talk to founders and stuff.
Yeah, it's not really in events. I don't really sit and listen to panels or people speaking. Not really my thing. I have a very short patience span. My employees will say it also. But, it's you learn from meeting people face to face. That's the best way for me, at least.
So do you believe in those physical meetings, like
Yes.
one-on-one human interactions?
Listen, nothing, in my opinion, nothing replaces human interaction. I mean, yes, it's good for if you're a beginner or if you want to learn something quick to go online and learn it. I encourage people to do that. Personally, I am not that type of person. I don't have the patience. I rather meet people. So, and then just gather their thoughts, pick their brain.
Do you find interesting those talks when people have no clue with blockchain, but they are experts in their field? Do you feel that you can take something from that discussion?
You can take something from anyone. Whether they're experts or not experts, you can take something from anyone. I mean, if not, then probably your ego is too high and you think you know it all. I don't. I mean, I think I know more than most, but I can always learn from people. Sometimes I might not agree with them or accept their opinions, but I'm always keen to listen to what they think and what they say and see and filter what to absorb and what not.
What do you do in a scenario where you text, let's say, a bigger guy than you, and he's not replying?
I mean, that happens, to be honest. And
how do you approach this?
It's sometimes frustrating because you're like, oh, so he's too good for me? But I'm sure that sometimes people think the same way about me when they try to reach out to me to tell me about some project. and I'm not as responsive or I'm very short and blunt. So I usually tell people, okay, so what do you want? What's the value proposition? Just get to the point quickly. I don't have the time for you to now tell me a long story or write me messages that are like books. I'm not going to read them all.
I'm
So
100% 99 of people will find this super arrogant.
exactly. So a lot of people will think that I'm arrogant, but the reality is I'm super busy and I have 100 people approach me like that a day. I mean, my LinkedIn is exploding. I don't have even the energy to look. I'm working 12 to 16 hours a day. I try to look at the LinkedIn messages once or twice a week because they're just piling up. I just can't catch up. I mean, I get more than 100 emails a day, more than like 10 messages in LinkedIn, 50 messages at least on Telegram, not to mention the regular groups and chats that I have, but on top of it from strangers. Do you want me to promote you? Do you want to do marketing? Do you want to list on this? It's like WhatsApp messages. I try not to give actually my personal numbers on WhatsApp because then they bombard me there.
So I'm assuming that I'm a kind of VIP list there that you responded in less than a minute.
Of course. I mean, I have the specific people that I respect and closer. So obviously with them, I'm always responsive. I mean, I try to respond to people as soon as I can. But in the end of the day, you have a limit of hours a day and what you can do and who you can answer. So I try to answer most, if not everyone. And especially it depends on how you approach me. But in the end of the day, I tell people, be short and to the point. I mean, whether you're approaching me, whether you're approaching investors to raise, keep in mind, if you're raising it from big funds they get hundreds of texts a day. You need to be unique and you need to be short and to the point and grab their attention within the first few lines or the title. Because if you didn't, I get these messages, yeah, I want to tell you about a project that I'm doing and this and that. You lost me. I'm already reading like 5-6 sentences and you still didn't tell me anything about your project or why it's something special. And I'm looking at the message and there's 30-40 lines. Hell, I'm not going to go there.
It's almost like running ads, right? Like running ads, you have to be straight to the point, super relevant. You have
call to action.
You have less than a second once once you're
People
scrolling.
Yes.
I need to be super insane, super relevant to catch your attention and actually stop scrolling and put 1 second behind my message.
Yeah. So while people might think that I'm arrogant and have an issue with that, then I understand that the people that I try to reach might be even busier. So maybe that's why they're not responding.
No,
so it's a question why also.
I will tell you what's happening in people's mind. Is always this feeling of I need to create a story of the approach. So every time they try to present the thing in a larger scale to frame you a little bit about it, and then slowly get to the center and the core product, right?
That's a mistake.
And they believe that, which is okay. I mean, you need the context, right, to understand the approach. But that context takes time. And some individuals, as we can see, they don't have that time.
Yes.
So they want, just give me directly the point.
And I'm blunt. That's my mentality, and that's my how I work. A lot of people don't appreciate it, but that's who I am. So it is what it is. If you like me, great. If you don't like me,
I'll
survive.
When you are about to work with a guy which is 1, 2, 3, he tells you exactly what you have to do and not very flexible on put it into other stuff.
I like it because I'm very analytical and I'm very short and to the point. So I appreciate a person that is like that, and we do very well together. They respect how I approach them and what my messaging, and not wasting their time. So I get all these messages, the kiss-ass, I call them. Oh, I love your project. You've done exceptional job. Or I'm very impressed with your resume and what you've done with your life. And then you look, so you start reading it, you go further, because who doesn't like a little bit pat on their ego? but then you realize that it's like a generic message that they're sending anyone, because they don't even know what you're doing or what space you are. And then you're like, oh fuck. Next.
Yeah.
I don't like the kiss ass. I like be direct to the point. Yeah. Don't try to flatter me. I don't care about it.
Yeah, I got you. Anyway, sometimes it's difficult. It's a little bit more difficult to work with this kind of people that they are, sharp, straight to the point. But in the same time, and this is my perspective too, it's way easier and somehow because you just need to execute and everything is okay. You don't need to have too much headache of understand what they want or just do what they say. That's it.
Listen, time is money, and those people don't have the time. Show them. It's like I looked actually in YouTube, some guy, a big business guy, and he was saying, don't come to me and ask me, how can I add value to you and what can I do for you and blah, blah, blah. Don't waste my time. Just bring me a deal. Show me value, connect me with someone that I can connect on my own. Then I'll respect you and I will want to work with you. Not someone that's coming to you and you need to tell him what to do. I don't need that. So, yes, I actually totally agree with him. Just create the value and then present it.
Absolutely. What do you think will happen in a scenario where Bitcoin will hit $100,000 by end of the year?
Which year?
By end of 2023.
No, not going to happen. 2023? Yeah. Hell no. If it's going to happen 2024,
I mean,
I'll be
aggressively sell this narrative over and over again. Looks like working perfectly, heavenly to retail, the ETF approval.
I see people predicting Bitcoin at over 100. Some people predict it at 1 million. In my approach, I'm always more conservative than most.
I mean, do you think
I don't even know if it will pass. I mean, hopefully it will pass the previous all-time high. But if it will, I don't think it will be by a lot. So I think that 100K is probably very optimistic.
Definitely it's very optimistic. But I'm saying, do you feel that people will start selling their houses and cars and everything to jump on crypto?
Nah, at that point, you already missed the train. You're not going to do many X's. I mean, if you actually look at the bull markets from the past, you always made more X's in the past. So from every bull run, the X's on Bitcoin actually goes down. Because just like the regular market, I mean,
probabilistically speaking, now it's around, the chances are around 5x. 3 to 5.
Yeah. Realistically, that's what you're going to do, max.
If you look back at all the cycles, now it's 3 to 5x.
Mm-hmm.
But I was saying because we face a very tough bear market, we need to be honest, right? All those kind of things. This bear market was
the longest, worst.
Long and tough. People lost a lot of money with all those negative events.
Most tokens went 99% or more down, yes.
But even though with everything what happened, if in the scenario where Bitcoin will explode, I think still people will just forget in 2 seconds everything and they will just go crazy.
Yes, I mean, listen, retail memory is very short. So they just will see the hype and they'll just jump in. That's how it works. That's how it always worked. And that's how it will continue to work.
Well, hopefully this is my approach and what I want to put here in this podcast with valuable individuals like you, like all the guests that we aim to interview here, give to the people this perspective of smart investments, iron investments, how we call it. And hopefully they will understand something from all your insights, guys. Prepare everything in advance, check the founders, see what they have done, who are they, all these things. Try to approach the projects, be part of community, understand a little bit of macroeconomics, see how money works, all these things. And then you are at the wallets right game, manage those inter blockchain transactions, know how to play with some wallets. Just do these things, because that will position yourself in a way that you can, first of all, avoid big mistakes. That's very important, not to lose your money. And then you can make some, as you mentioned last time. Sometimes you make less, or sometimes you make a little bit more, but the idea is to be profitable, cash out when you are profitable, and it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yes, I like the iron investments. Yes, that's a good one. So I agree. I mean, we're still early. I mean, yes, prices went up, mostly 20-30% for the big, Bitcoin or Ethereum, and some other tokens made 2-3x, but we're still early. So it's still not too late to get into the game, make the right investments, and make a substantial life-changing profits.
It's way better to be part of the game than not to be. Just wait for another 50% drop or something. That's not a problem. Just have some skin in the game, because at any point in time, as we can see nowadays, Bitcoin is already 37,000, and you never know what's going on. And if you are out, you are out. If you are part, you have some benefits. So
yes, long term, Bitcoin is going up. If it goes down for a little, that's fine. Then buy more when it's going down.
Absolutely. Eran, thank you very much again. Absolutely a pleasure. And thank you so much for coming. I appreciate all the time your presence here, Iron Capital Talks.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, inviting me again. So always happy to participate.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys for watching, and please drop us a comment. Consider subscribing if you find this episodes useful for you. And don't forget, we are Iron Capital News over 7 major platforms. And see you on the next one. Thank you.
And start following me. I want to be an influencer and make a lot of money.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching, and see you on the next one.